Marlins. We are the Force. We are Florida.
On a very warm afternoon in Miami, the Giants and the Marlins finish off a three-game series, and the show goes on for Giancarlo Stanton. Yes, he's in the lineup. What do you expect? He's homered in 6 straight. He's got 44 on the season. An incredible ride for the Marlins big man.
Yeah, and he's doing it a variety of ways. That's what's been so exciting. Matt Cain's probably going to throw it all at him today, but we've seen him hit curveballs out, sliders out, cutters out last night, even knuckleballs. So keep your eyes open tonight. Matt Cain might try anything.
Let's talk about the matchup, because Cain hasn't been in the rotation on a regular basis for 2 or 3 years because of injuries. But when he was in there and Stanton was coming up, Giancarlo had great success against him.
Well, and he certainly did, and a variety of pitches. You see right there, that's a hanging curveball. You're also going to see him hit another hanging curveball out right there. And well, from here on out, it's going to be fastballs the rest of the way, but tons of success. So Stanton steps in, knowing historically he's got very good numbers, Rich. Really what it comes down to today is what is Matt Cain willing to try against Stanton? Because if he keeps it in the same pattern that he's done historically, Stanton's going to win this one.
Scherzer, Bumgarner, Dickey, he's faced quality pitchers in this run of his, and there are Cain's numbers. Cain hasn't made a start in almost 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. He's kind of fallen into the guy in the bullpen who comes in and out of the bullpen, makes an occasional start. It essentially has lost his permanent spot in that rotation, but that's based on poor performance. He hasn't had a sub 5.2 ERA in over 3 years, Rich, so that's kind of his role right now. I know Matt Cain's kind of recognized differently in San Francisco, but his stuff has diminished over the years.
Of course, Stanton homered last night, but the Marlins lost that ball game. Still today, a chance to win this series, a chance to go deep. How dialed in is Big G? We'll explore that as the Fish and the Giants are moments away. finish off a 3-game set. Oh, yeah. Fox Sports Florida tradition. Somebody brings donuts for the crew on a day game, whether we're on the road or at home. Federal Donuts. Sweet. Let's go out to Craig and Jeff. Guys?
All right, Rich, thank you very much. Looks very tasty. Let's talk about the tastiest topic in sports right now, though, and that's Giancarlo Stanton. There's no holes in his game right now.
Wow, the puns are just being thrown at me right now. Incredible. Yeah, Giancarlo Stanton, the most prolific power hitter we've seen over the last month of this season. 6 in a row he's done, looking for 7 today. This Madison Bumgarner slider last night was the victim of his latest home run, 432 feet later out by the home run sculpture. Look what he's done in the month of August. Are you kidding me? 377, 11 homers, and 21 RBIs. July was not quite the average, but August is only half over, Craig.
A record already in Marlins history for homers in this month with 11. He's the only guy ever with double-digit back-to-back months for the Marlins in his career already.
And when you look post-All-Star break, he's got 18 post-All-Star break. That's already a Marlins record for home runs after the All-Star break.
Matt Cain, he's hit 4 against. Does he make it 5 today at a minimum?
Of course I'm saying yes.
Yeah.
Hello, he's 8 for 22 in his career. 4 of those are home runs.
He might flirt with 2 today. You never do know today, but the world is watching Giancarlo Stanton today as he tries to join an elite group. Only 6 players in baseball history have hit homers in 7 or more consecutive games. 2 with connections to this one in Bonds and Don Mattingly. Giants and the Marlins coming up next.
Grade by your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. And by Southwest, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Giants and Marlins. Inside Marlins Park, Jose Urena arriving at the mound, ready to take on the Giants, and here come the Giants. San Francisco last night erupted for 9 runs on 14 hits. Southwest brings you Bruce Bochy's lineup. Denard Span has been a real pain in the neck for the Fish. He's had a nice series. Hunter Pence as well. He's in the 2 spot. Jared Parker gets a start in left. Pablo Sandoval's in the cleanup spot. No Buster Posey, at least to start the day with. Brandon Crawford, still slumping, is up in the 5 spot. Nick Hundley swung it well lately. Ryder Jones at first. He homered. And Kelby Tomlinson had 2 hits last night as well. Matt Cain is in the 9 spot.
There is Jose Urena on the mound. A very nice season. Now double-digit wins. You see it, 10 of them. In fact, all 10 of Urena's wins have followed a Marlins loss this year. 3.76 ERA. 3.62 ERA here at Marlins Park. He's been throwing the ball pretty well of late. Last start versus the Rocky, 5 1/3, 3 earned runs. Did give up a couple homers, 98 pitches, but he's got a 3.26 ERA over his last 5 starts. So good things from Urena. Pay attention to that slider. It's always a big pitch, and that two-seam fastball has been a lot better of late.
Miami defensively.
So the Marlins will line up behind Urena. Ozuna, Yelich, Stanton. That's your outfield. Dietrich, Aviles, D. Gordon, Mostelis over at first base. JT Realmuto back behind the plate for Jose Urena.
Denard Span approaches home plate carefully. And this veteran center fielder had a really nice series and key hits, certainly. The 2-run homer for the Giants early. Had 3 hits in the ball game, and on Monday had a 2-run double. Miami won that ball game by a score of 8-3.
Well, we shouldn't be surprised. Denard Span's had a very nice season with runners in scoring position. Yes, he's their leadoff hitter. He's at 350 with runners in scoring position this season. Got the little 3-game hitting streak going, 6 for his last 14.
And Urena catches the outside corner. This ball game is underway. Span, Pence, and Parker for the Giants. Urena has been one of Miami's most consistent and most effective starters all year, and that illustrates the issues the Fish have had in their rotation because Urena wasn't in the rotation coming out of spring training.
You're absolutely right. He's made very nice adjustments as the season has gone on.
Slow roller. Gordon backhands and gets him at first base. Nice play by D. Gordon. And Urena has been especially good, Todd, when the Marlins need him the most.
Right, and the one thing is that we talked about it, all 10 of his wins have come after a Marlins loss. He has been very, very good, very consistent, word I'll use today. He's gone through the the little valleys that you go through, and he's found his way back up the other side of the mountain. That's what's been so good about Urena this year. Talked about his 2-seam fastball an awful lot. It's really good right now, as you just saw right there. And his slider's been good, but he's had the bumps, but he's survived the bumps, and that's always a good tell for a young pitcher.
Of course, the Marlins and the Giants met in the last series before the All-Star game. And the Fish swept the Giants, won the first game of this series. Giants finally got a win last night. Urena pitched in San Francisco, 5 innings, 3 runs on 5 hits. Marlins won that ball game 10-8. Pence starting to swing it. 3 for 8, knocked in 3 in this series. .97.
Oh, he's got that in the arsenal. It's going to be a great matchup. Keep your eye on all day long. Pence swinging the bat well. 13 RBIs, last 15 games, 321 over the stretch. Now, Urena against the number 2 hitter, 0.77 on the season. He's only allowed 4 hits.
All right, explain that stat. What's the significance of that?
Well, to me, it always catches my attention. I look at how pitchers do against certain spots in the lineup. Urena is one of the league leaders against number 2 hitters. In fact, as I just said, the number 2 hitter is only 4 for 52. Now, it's not just Pence, but it's Pence and all number 2 hitters that he's gone up against this year.
High chopper. This is Aviles at short. Loads up, and that's not in time. Pence beats it. Hunter Pence is a big man, but very athletic, and he gets down the line.
Well, Urena made his pitch. You can see it right there. Aviles did everything he could, but he had to wait for that ball to come down after the chop right there right out in front of home plate. So an infield hit. So just as I explained it, 4 for 52, make that 5 for 53.
Jared Parker getting the start in left field. The Giants have been hit by injuries of late, a couple of concussions. Brandon Belt, Joe Panic. So Bruce Bochy has had to scramble putting together a lineup.
Parker 1 for 5 yesterday. He's having a rough road trip, 2 for 19. Working his way through some struggles.
Kind of platooning out there with Gorkys Hernandez. Pence back with a dive. It's the third season that Parker's been up with the big club. 63 games last year. He was a terrific player at the University of Virginia. Pitch is out, and for the Giants, we've touched upon it throughout the series. These are really uncharted waters. Giants last year, 87 wins. It got them to the wild card game. They unleashed Bumgarner on the Mets, got themselves into the division series against the Cubs. Bullpen blew a lead in Game 4. Cubs won that series, went all the way to a World Series title. And for the Giants, it feels like the end of an incredible ride that started in 2010 with a World Series championship, their first World Series championship in San Francisco, that against the Texas Rangers. Yelich on his way in as the catch. Parker is out, and it brings up Pablo Sandoval.
Yeah, Rich, I think it's as much a story, you're right, about the struggles with the Giants this year, about who they are and maybe what they are offensively, as it is in the National League West and what they're going up against as well. The Rockies they look like they're going to be good for a little while, as do the Diamondbacks, and obviously the Dodgers certainly are going to be a challenge for years to come.
I guess you could say that they picked a bad year to have a bad year.
Yeah, well, and maybe that's what gets them back. Is the realization that, and this happens around baseball, it's very common that you look at a couple teams in your division pass you up.
Well, the Giants have a terrific front office and great scouting. I don't think they're going to be down for long. Brian Sabian, Dick Tidrow, Bobby Evans, they've all done an incredible run to keep this thing going longer than most franchises are able to do it, spacing out 3 world championships over 5 seasons. Pence at first, and the 1-0. Good changeup, Sandoval out in front. And this, I guess, is emblematic of what the Giants are going through. Here is Sandoval, who was part of so much success, went to Boston, really struggled, and he's trying to breathe life back into his career in a familiar uniform.
Well, and the fact that opportunity is there, I think, is also part of it. I mean, think what Sandoval went through, what he was making, obviously the deal he signed in Boston, to find his way all the way back to San Francisco, to find himself in the 4th spot in the lineup today, I think tells you an awful lot about what Sandoval and the organization are going through.
Pence still anchored at first. An infield hit. There's 2 outs, a 1-2. He's in the dirt. Real Muto picks it out of that dirt. Carlos Stanton and the Marlins, and the Giants finishing off here. Day game in Miami. Stanton in the 2 spot, coming up in the bottom of the 1st. Urania misses out. You count 3-2.
Well, it's going to put Hunter Pence in motion. Buster Posey not in the lineup today.
He might be in motion right now, but it's a real slow
Certainly
motion.
not on the bases. That's right.
Pence on the move, 3-2. Little tapper right side, and it's foul. Takeaways from last night's ball game for the Marlins. Well, the bullpen has been really good, and as you know, it's been without 3 of their best arms. 2 were traded. 1 was down on the disabled list. Kyle Bearclaw came back last night, though. He was touched for a home run. Ryder Jones popped 1 out. Bouncer to second. Gordon has another. Flip to first in time. And a scoreless first for Jose Urania. Big G coming up. 6 straight for Stanton. 44 on the season. He and Matt Cain have a date shortly. Down with the Marlins and the Giants in Miami. Temperatures in the 90s, high humidity inside Marlins Park. D. Gordon ready to go. Giancarlo Stanton, Christian Yelich will follow. Let's scout Matt Cain.
All right, let's do this. Matt Cain, 6'3", 230 pounds, 32 years old. What once was, Cain was, well, I should say, he is a 100-game winner already in his career, 3.66 ERA over his career. He's pitched in over 2,000 innings, world champion, 3-time All-Star. Only no longer is just that. He's been struggling over the last 3 seasons, 5.22 ERA. So lots of injuries have kind of led to this, and that's what's to blame. Velocity drop, 8 trips to the DL, 3 years, 5.22 ERA. That's the lowest it's been. Curveball, changeup, and slider, pretty decent pitches, but his fastball velocity is not very good.
That's catcher interference. D. Gordon's going to get down to first base. Nick Hundley reaching a little too much. Watch the bat.
Yeah, right off the top of the glove, D. Gordon to catch a finger. Oh yeah.
Hey, that's interference.
And with that, Gordon's at first, Stanton's at the plate. 4 for 8 in the series, a homer in each game. Homered last year against Cain.
What?
Fastball misses in. And here are the career numbers. 8 for 22, 4 of those home runs. Outfield straight up and deep. Runner goes, Stanton pulls it, and pulls it foul.
Give you Matt Cain's arsenal real quick. 2-seam, 4-seam fastball, curveball, changeup, slider. And the curveball has been one of his better pitches this season. The fastball is getting hit hard. 550 slugging percentage against the 2-seamer and the 4-seam fastball.
Cain staying in with the fastballs, and it's 2-1. 11 homers in his last 12 games, 23 homers his last 35 games. And since the All-Star break, he's homering at a rate of just about a home run for every 6 at-bats. Cain at the top of his list. Gordon runs. Stan hits a little looper into right field. Charging in his pants. It falls for a hit. Gordon's on his way to third. And the Marlins are set up at the corners with Yelich coming up. Miami's lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines. You've seen Gordon, Giancarlo, Yelich in the 3 spot. Marcell Ozuna hits cleanup. JT Realmuto back behind the plate hitting 5th. Derek Dietrich at 3rd. Tomas Delis at 1st. Mike Aviles at short. And Jose Urena is in the 9 spot.
Matt Cain already in trouble here in the 1st inning. Nobody out. Runners on 1st and 3rd. Christian Yelich steps in 2 for 4 yesterday. RBI double.
Yelich very good at getting this run home. Nick Marley calling balls and strikes. Lance Barrett at 1st. Jim Reynolds at 2nd. Brian Knight is the umpire at 3rd. Miami had crept within 3 games of 500 going into last night's ball game, the closest they've been since that big May swoon early May. Change up from Cain misses out, and he's gone 3-0 to Yelich.
Christian Yelich, 5 games versus the Giants this season, 5 multi-hit efforts. We'll go 6 for 6 on the year today.
At the knees for a strike. Along with Stanton, other Marlins have history against Cain. Yelich 10 at bats, is 2 for 10. That's a strike. Yelich didn't like it. The last 2 pitches have been not only out, but way out.
Christian Yelich walked it off. Frustrated with those last 2 calls. Together a good disciplined at bat. Cain does not need any help with the strike zone.
Stanton runs. Yelich misses. Hundley holds it. Stanton has a stolen base. Yelich probably still smarting over those first 2 called strikes.
All right, here are the Giants defensively. The swing game in this series. Here you go. Parker gets the start in left. Denard Span in center. Hunter Pence is your right fielder. Pablo Sandoval, Crawford, Tomlinson, Jones over at first base. Nick Hundley behind the plate for Matt Cain.
So here's Ozuna with 1 out and a chance to put Miami on the board. Ozuna has homered in this series.
Giants are conceding the run, playing back at all spots on the infield. Straight away in center field as well. 6 for 8 homestand, 17 home runs at Marlins Park this year for Marcell Ozuna.
Ball and a strike. It's been an injury-filled run for Cain over the last 3 seasons.
As I mentioned in the keys, 8 trips to the disabled list. It's probably in part to blame for the velocity drop that you see on his fastball.
Ozuna rolls it up the middle. Diving stop by Crawford. That'll save 1 run. Stanton holds 3rd. Scoring on the play is Gordon. And Ozuna has an RBI hit. He is terrific at shortstop. And even though he didn't get an out, he saved a run for the time being.
They sure did, just by keeping it on the infield. This gets through. Both runners score. Pretty simple stuff. Step and a dive. That's going to be an easy base hit for Ozuna once he leaves his feet. Right there at the end of the glove. RBI opportunity for JT Realmuto.
And still just 1 out. And for Ozuna, 90 RBIs now. Ozuna having a career year. So is this guy. To 3rd. Sandoval out there. And Realmuto beats it. Athletic catcher. Gets down the line. And Miami has their 2nd run.
This would have been a ground ball double play for most. JT Realmuto's speed saves him. One hopper to Sandoval. Quick turn to Tomlinson at second. He beats the throw. Not a shadow of a doubt at first base. Picks up the RBI.
So a 2-0 start, and Derek Dietrich climbs in. Outside of Stanton, Dietrich is the only Marlin in the lineup that has homered in his career against Matt Cain.
Marlins now up to 92 first inning runs. They're creeping up on the Milwaukee Brewers' second baseball. Lee Gordon is in second as well, 27. He's chasing Billy Hamilton by 1. So good first inning run production for the Marlins all season long.
Ball and a strike to Dietrich. Cain misses in.
Very nice homestand for Dietrich. 385. Had a pinch hit single last night. Swinging the bat well last couple of weeks.
Liner, and it's dropped by Crawford. Now there's something you don't see very often. I mean, it was hit hard, but Crawford just flat out missed it.
Well, I'm never one to go little league, but sometimes two hands are better than one. Crawford right there goes to the one hand, and it hits right off the top of the glove. It looks like a pretty routine catch.
Brigetti out, trying to keep Matt Cain focused here. That's a 2-run inning right now, and the Marlins with 2 on and Talise coming up.
When it rains, what's the saying? When it rains, it pours. Something along those lines. You just thinking of Crawford's season so far. It's been a frustrating one for him, both offensively and as good as he's been defensively. A little bit of a lapse.
There are 2 errors on the Giants here. One is the Crawford line drive. The other is the catcher's interference, in which Gordon smacked the glove of Hundley. That started the whole thing.
You pair that with a struggling pitcher, and it turns itself into runs.
Now you got Talise, who's been swinging the bat quite well. In fact, last night he had it at bat and he smoked one right to center for an out. But an illustration that all of a sudden with a little more playing time, guy who has a reputation as a very good hitter is starting to hit.
4 hits over his last 6 ball games. Triple.
That's a fair ball. Down the line it goes. Realmuto scores. Dietrich right behind him, and he's going to score. And Talise knocks home 2 more.
And we've watched Talise show some power the other way. Exit velocity bullets off the barrel, off the bat. This elevated fastball stays right on it. Eyes down the line. All the way into the left field corner. Dietrich hustling all the way around for first, scores as well. Marlins up 4-0 here in the first.
Now the number 8 hitter, Micah Vilas. And the Giants are going to walk him intentionally. And that just accelerates the lineup. It brings Urania to the plate. And he's the 9th man to hit against Cain.
Cain came into today's start with a 7.69 ERA and 10 starts on the road, and your defense breaks down behind you. It can be a frustrating afternoon. Matt Cain has gone 12 starts without a win. Way to May 15th of this year. 0-8 with a 5.97 ERA since that last win.
Solis at second, Aviles at first. Urena chases. And it's 0-2. Always entertaining, whether he's pitching, covering first.
You said chases. I was thinking guess is wrong.
Probably a more accurate description. And it came with a breaking ball to strike out Urena, but the Marlins put 4 on the board in the bottom of the first.
Telecast is presented by the authority of the Miami Marlins. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and the descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins.
Well, in Miami, the Giancarlo Stanton show is kind of the headline going into this, but the Marlins put up 4 runs in their effort to win this series and get back within 3 games of 500. And Jose Urena now goes back to work on the Giants. Brandon Crawford, Nick Hundley, and Ryder Jones in the second. Marlins headed to New York and then to Philly. 3 starting on Friday night at Citi Field, and then a 4-game series that doesn't start till Tuesday in Philly. And that starts with a doubleheader, a 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock doubleheader at Citizens Bank Park. Crawford takes a strike, and it's 0-1. Oh! A lot of moving parts there. Time called, umpire out behind the plate. Urena had started his motion, stopped it, and he lobbed one behind Crawford.
That's right. Well, I'm glad it was. I saw it, and Crawford had kind of let up, and I thought it was right at him, as if I was going to tell him to get out of the way. From up here, you'd hear me. No. Move.
Now, you noted that Crawford has had a trying year offensively. And he bangs one into center field for a hit, and that's his first hit of the series.
Yeah, it's really been a frustrating year. His last 12 road games, he's hitting 112. His last 18 games on the whole, 172 before that base hit. Bring up Nick Hundley. He's actually one of their hotter hitters. 353 over his last 11 games.
And Hundley swinging the bat has given Bruce Bochy an opportunity to get Buster Posey out to first base, just to get both of their bats in the lineup for a team that's struggling scoring runs. Get them both in there at the same time. Count 2-0 here. Lots of baseball this afternoon. Wednesday traditionally can be a travel or a getaway day, which essentially means everybody gets away from where they are, head to their next series. Giants get away home, Marlins get away to New York. Nationals and Angels have started their ball game. That is one man's feast. Crawford away, not running. Ball in the air, and it's foul and out of play.
Working from behind, Ureña's gone at Hundley. Nothing but fastballs. Two-seamer. He's struggled to command it into the righties so far this afternoon.
That one caught by Aviles. And there's an out. Getaway days are also a interesting phenomena in sports. And there really isn't another sport that has this. It's kind of, the saying in baseball is show and go. Because you play a night game and you got to come back the next morning and play. Sometimes it's a noon game. This is a 1 o'clock start. And so there's no on-field batting practice, a more limited preparation. There's some guys that do hit in the cage. Some guys just show up, stretch, take a few swings, and go to work.
Well, what you find generally is the better teams in all of baseball have deep rosters, and what you'll see are an extension of those deep rosters. A lot of times you'll see 3 or 4 guys who aren't more of a utility player or a backup get an opportunity on a day game like today. Now both these teams want to win a series, and I think it's a little bit different. You see maybe a few slight adjustments for the most part with the day off tomorrow. Marlins are going for it, and that's very common as well. If tomorrow was a game day, you might see Don Mattingly have a few of the utility players in there.
You know, the other thing too for a manager like Don Mattingly is when your team is hot, and the Marlins are. They've played really well in this homestand. Stanton's on this incredible ride. You have a tendency not to change your lineup even in a game like this.
Right.
That one hit hard and thankfully didn't hit anybody. Ryder Jones 2 hits last night, including a home run against Kyle Bearclaw in the 8th inning, also doubled.
Been pretty productive over the last week. 364 batting average, 3 RBIs. As you mentioned, the home run last night, now has 2.
Jones went to high school in Boone, North Carolina. as well as Stillwater, Oklahoma. They committed to play at Stanford, where the Giants took him in the second round in 2013. The Giants and just about everybody else getting a chance to see some of their younger players get some time. Jones, Jared Parker. Pitch misses out. Ty Block in the rotation. Chris Stratton. Urania loses him. So runners first and second with one out. Marlins are hitting the road, so a watch party's coming up, and the next one is Friday night at the Keg, south of Kendall. Marlins Mets at 7 o'clock. Got a DJ there. That's DJ Vertigo. It's one of Todd's favorites. Billy the Marlin is there. Giveaways, prizes, food, drink specials. Go to marlins.com/appearances. Tomlinson, 2 hits last night. Tomlinson takes up. Tomlinson also getting time. We talked about Joe Panik yesterday going on the 7-day concussion disabled list. This is going to prompt a Juan Nieves visit out to Urania.
Well, Urania's obviously struggling with his command just a little bit, but again, this is the type of team, this Giants team, that you want to be a little bit more aggressive, particularly here at Marlins Park. They don't possess a tremendous amount of power, but they are a better team with runners in scoring position. It's how they do their business. Only hit 21 home runs in the second half. Giancarlo Stanton's got 18. This is a Giants team that does not have a whole lot of power, and you want to see him just be a little bit more aggressive. Certainly doesn't want to put traffic out here, but you got to take note of the Giants and how they score their runs. Pretty decent ball club with runners in scoring position. Taking 41 pitches to get 4 outs.
Yeah, that's not the pace that Don Mattingly's looking for. There's a bouncer. Gordon to his left. Backhands there. Aviles bare hands. Gets the out. And the Giants have runners at the corners.
Trying to turn 2. The pitcher's spot for next inning. See Aviles trying to buy a second, just going to the bare hand, and almost closed it a little early. Able to get the out at second base.
And so Matt Cain now. Cain swings and misses. Urania dialing it up to 97 again. And that's strike 3 called, so it took a while, but Urania gets through the second. Giants have extended him to 45 pitches. Big G again coming up.
story. The Marlins were in the Bay Area getting ready for a series against Oakland when Don Mattingly decided to put Stanton in the #2 spot.
We were at Napa, so there was alcohol involved in that one. I'd been thinking about it, and it was just like, you know what? It's not going good this way. Let's take a shot and see what this looks like. Text G, and it's funny because it's like he was like, "Go for it."
Marlins were 13 under at that point. Since then, they've had the 3rd best record in the NL. And you look at Giancarlo, #2 spot. How can you argue with that? Nearly 300 average, 32 homers, and the OPS 1.117. Wow, guys.
Yeah, an impressive run. Here's D. Gordon with Stanton due up second. Christian Yelich behind. That also kind of coincided with the Stanton's adjustment with his stance. Got to the 2 spot and then closed up the stance, and that's when everything seemed to click.
It certainly feels like it's a bit of a progression. Think about why he closed up his stance, what he was working on at the time.
Gordon pops that one to shallow center. Span in pursuit, and he makes the catch. Trying to cover the outside corner better. That's what got him to the closed stance, but then he was a little too close to the plate, had to make an adjustment from there and started moving off the plate a little bit. All right, from what you saw Kane in the first inning, how is he attacking Stanton?
Well, he's been unpredictable. He's going to use all of his pitches, and he is going to fall into no patterns. That's what I think you'll see. First at bat, fastball, curveball, fastball, curveball. There's a slider.
Stanton dumped a single into right. He's got 5 hits in the series. Of course, 2 of them home runs. Breaking ball fouled back. So nothing straight in this at bat.
As I told you, he doesn't want to give Giancarlo Stanton a look at his fastball. He probably will get turned around. 9 home runs on his fastball this year. Now his curveball, changeup, and slider have actually been pretty decent pitches for him. He's got to set them up. He's worked off the outside corner 3 consecutive times with 3 sliders.
Two and 2 now. That one up. It had the plate. Fastball in.
Really good take. That ball just off the inside corner.
And the 3-2. Ouch. Hit him. Sounded like it hit his arm guard. Not that that makes him any happier. Of course, if it hits Stanton in the muscle, that sounds like it's hitting steel. So let's take a look.
I think it's going to be somewhere between that elbow pad and the back.
Oh,
yeah, look at that.
right in the back.
Yeah. Up high on the ribs. Now Kane tried to throw his best 2-seam fastball and get it in there. I mean, in all honesty, over the last 35 games, I'm surprised we haven't seen more of that.
You know, listening to what Craig just talked about, moving into the 2 spot, talking about the progression with closing the stance up. Don't overlook the fact that closing the stance seems to have made Stanton a lot more comfortable with balls inside. Obviously, he was being badly in 2014. But now, instead of turning into the ball, he turns away from the ball just like that. Yelich fouls it off.
Let me clear up my explanation about that pitch. I wasn't referring to Stanton getting hit more often through this hot stretch. I'm talking about more 2-seam fastballs in the inside part of the plate, you know, way in there. I haven't seen a whole lot of it, but Stanton hides it well. You're right, because he takes that pitch so much better. A lot of guys are, you know, jumping out of the way and throwing their arms up in the air. He just now turns and, you know, deals with it.
And he was one of those guys, especially after what happened which ended his 2014 season.
just see it. It's almost hunting him out of Matt Cain's hand, but you saw the effort behind Cain's delivery, and there was a little bit more there. If he was throwing at 100%, that was 110% from Cain.
Cain misses away to Yelich, and it's 2-2. And therein lies one of the really tough parts about a streak like this. And that is, the hotter you get, the less you get pitched to.
Well, we discussed this a little bit yesterday. See that pitch right there. We felt like it might be a little bit off the outside corner. Called strike 3, and it was.
Wow. That's the third ball that Yelich has had called a strike that was well off the plate by this rookie umpire, Nick Marley.
It looked like it was nowhere near the strike zone, out of his hand. Watch Hundley. Look how far he goes to get this. It's pretty surprising.
Ozuna now, RBI single. Stanton's at first.
We talked a little bit yesterday during the broadcast how everybody around Stanton has been doing their part. D. Gordon's been doing a fantastic job of getting on base. Yelich, Ozuna have been hitting well behind him, which has forced teams to really kind of go at Stanton. You're absolutely right. You'd think the teams would just flat out shut him down by now. But you're being made to pay for it. If you're going to intentionally walk Stanton right now, you're also pitching to 3 other hot hitters, so to speak. Even JT Realmuto, you could throw him in as well.
Cain misses away. We talked about Ureña's pitch total. 2 innings, 45 pitches. And Cain is right up next to Ureña's total here as he tries to finish the 2nd inning. What does that all mean? It means that both bullpens are going to be used extensively at this pace. Struck him out. Ozuna turns and stares with a look of disbelief, and that's out of the strike zone as well. It's been a rough ride behind the plate so far in this one. 4-0 Miami. If you're just joining us, Giancarlo Stanton has a hit, and he's been hit. So he's 1 for 1. He's not homered, but the Marlins pushed across 4 runs in a lively 1st inning. Jose Ureña is going to try to cut down the pitches here and get some outs. Denard Span fouls the first pitch off. Hunter Pence and Jared Parker
We've talked about that, making the adjustments throughout a ball game and certainly throughout the season. Urania certainly recognizes his elevated pitch count after 2 innings. Look for him to be a little bit more aggressive here in the 3rd and 4th.
Yelich. A couple pitches and an out here in the 3rd. Let's do some T-Mobiling. Unlimited baseball break brought to you by T-Mobile. Sonny Gray. It's paying off for the Yankees. Beat Jacob deGrom. 5-4. Yankees have won the first 2. They play 2 more times, the Mets and the Yankees, tonight and then tomorrow, while the Marlins are actually in New York. Danny Salazar and the Indians rolling, an 8-1 win over Minnesota. And Noah Syndergaard on the disabled list. The Mets starting rotation has had about as many issues as the Marlins have had with their starting rotation. Hunter Pence counts 0-2. Pence had an infield hit back in the 1st. Got him. Boy, Urania seems to have come out here in the 3rd with purpose.
Indeed. But strikes, only 1 ball so far here in the 3rd inning. This dialed up. Really good pitch. Catches an awful lot of the plate and is at the knees. Hunter Pence could not pull the trigger. 2 down here in the 3rd.
Knee-high strike. That one right on the edge and right at the knees. See Realmuto patting the ground, and that's exactly where Urania put it.
That's exactly what you want to see. Perfectly done. And for the swing and the miss, didn't get it.
It's always interesting when a catcher puts a target up for a pitcher that throws a sharp slider or a long breaking ball, because the catcher puts the target up where he wants the ball to finish, not where he wants the pitcher to throw it initially. That liner down the left field line is foul. So the pitcher is working on, I'm not aiming for that glove. I'm aiming for a spot where the ball will start and eventually get to the glove.
Well, it's also controlling and understanding your release point. Exactly where that release point is and where it needs to be in order to get the ball there.
Two runs away. Parker a fly ball out back in the 1st. Giants threatened in the 2nd. And a couple of runners on. Second time we've seen the Giants try to slow Urania down. Into right. Parker's got a base hit. 2-out single. I think for Giant fans too, in this year where after a brilliant run over the last, what, 7 seasons, Bruce Bochy and the Giants are where they are, which is in a spot they haven't been in a long time. San Francisco's at 48-73, so 25 games under. The Dodgers are 50 games over.
Yep.
50 games over.
Well, I don't think the Giants organization is going to freak out by what's happening this year as far as what the Dodgers are accomplishing or what else is going on in the division, even with the other 2 teams that are playing well, both the Rockies and the Diamondbacks. I think you go back to the drawing board and say, you know what, we've got a starting staff that's pumping out quality starts and putting up good numbers, a bullpen that's maybe a little bit better than most think, but at the same time you got an offense that you're having to figure out. So the question becomes, you know, do you believe in what you have enough to say, okay, let's rebuild the offense and go for it again? Or do you look at it and say, all right, it might take too long, and the aging of the Johnny Cuetos and those might take too long.
Over the head of Avila, Sandoval dumps it into left. Parker hustling to third. And the Giants again with 2 runners on and 2 outs, and it brings up Brandon Crawford.
Well, this pitch is going to beat Sandoval. He gets jammed, but enough of it. Put it out in left field. Not how hard you hit it all the time. It's sometimes where you hit it. Find some grass.
Crawford singled back in the second. Lined one back into center field. Yeah, the Dodgers are at 84 and 34. They're on pace to win 117 games, which is 1 more than the Major League record shared by the Mariners of 2001 and the Cubs of 06. That one gets through Talise. Hustling is Gordon, and he kicks it. And the Giants get a run. Talise had returned to first, and the Marlins had a shot at Crawford. But I think Deke probably sped up a little too much.
That's exactly what happened. This one's going to get through Talise just enough. See the one hop there down to a knee, kind of blocks it, and Deke goes to pick it up with his glove and ends up hitting it off his knee. He might have got both knees.
The error is going to be on Talise. And so it's 4-1, and the inning is extended for Urania. Here's Hundley. You heard Hundley remark to the home plate umpire that that's inside. Look how far inside that is. Talise got too far from first. There's no one there. Gordon's going to beat him to the bag. Wow. The adventure continues for Talise as a first baseman. And he's picked up by D. Gordon. 4-1. Giants and the Fish finish off this 3-game series. Perry Hill, ladies and gentlemen, on his way out to the first base coaching box. One of the premier infield coaches in all of baseball.
No doubt, one of the best. Good man.
And for Perry Hill, his work has been cut out for him because the Marlins have been using some inexperienced first baseman. This is Real Muto in yesterday's ball game.
Yeah, he's breaking the wrong way. Basically misreading balls to the right side, just overexposing first base bag. Watch Talise, he's going to do the exact same thing today.
And the instinct is, and you were put at first base,
yes,
but not for long.
Stay in your lane.
And it's hard to
stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane.
You want to be aggressive. You don't want to be over there. You don't want to act like you're the new guy on the block. You want to act like you're involved and engaged and that you can do this. So what does it tell you? You want to be a little bit more aggressive. Well, one thing I learned was from where I was to the first base foul line, be as aggressive as you want. It's exactly what you can do. You can go over there all you want. You're not getting in anybody's way. But from where you stand to the second baseman, be a lot more conservative. He's the athlete.
How do you turn that off? Because the instinct is go hard to your left and go hard to your right. But what you're saying is don't go so hard and far to your right, but you really got to go to your left.
What I learned was, and as long as my manager was okay with it, and I did this a few different times with a few different managers, was play a little bit more in the hole. So it gave me a little more space over there. You know what I mean? You don't want to be over aggressive no matter whether you're lefty or righty, a good athlete or not, to the second baseman's side, because you have a good defender there. He's your second baseman. He's a middle infielder. So in fact, he gets to be a little bit more territorial. As a first baseman, what I would do was I would slide over into that hole a little bit more, so I would be more in position so that the ball would either be at me or more towards the line, so I could be a little bit more aggressive and use my athleticism on that side. But that's just the way you do it. It's easier said than done, and it takes practice.
And of course, we had an emailer last night wondering why in the world is Talise at first base. Right. And the reason is the Marlins need his bat in there. They're without Justin Bour, and they essentially have a platoon going of Talise and Moore. Dietrich rifles one in the gap, right center field, going to the wall, might be three. Dietrich's digging. Span is up with it. Dietrich headed for third, and he is in there. Great hustle. Off the bat, he was thinking three.
A couple of well-struck baseballs off the bat of Derek Dietrich today. The 5th triple this season. You see it down in the left-hand corner. This is a changeup. Watch Derek go down and get this. Not a terrible pitch. Below the knees. Derek, a good low ball hitter. Drives it into the right center field gap and gets on that horse quick. There he goes. And that is Derek's read. He does not have to pick up Freddie Gonzalez over at third base. That ball is in the right center field gap. He reads it that way, and it's his call coming around second.
So here's Talise with the infield in. And a breaking ball misses. So the second part of why is Talise at first? It's his bat. And what has he done today? 2-run double in the first.
5 for 11 on the homestand. He's earning the opportunity to be over at first base a little bit more by swinging the bat, particularly this homestand.
Talise gets around on that, but pulls it foul. Obviously, the Marlins are hopeful that Justin Bour gets back as soon as possible. The hope is in early September. The oblique injury is gone, and Bour's able to get back in and continue what for him has been an outstanding season. They miss him.
You always miss that type of production, but I think for Justin Bour, and I just say that from somebody who's experienced what he's going through with an injury late in a second half, I hope he gets back, and I hope he gets those 2 weeks maybe at the end of September, because it's always a good feeling to remember finishing on the field going into 2018.
Infield still in, and Kane trying to tempt Talise with changeups out. He hasn't chased yet. He counts 3-1. Mike Aviles is on deck. That's into right field, and Talise is knocked in 3. Miami's lead is now 5-1.
the bottom of the Marlins lineup. Pitch on the inside part of the plate, drives it through the right side. Bring the infield in. A 300 hitter becomes a 400 hitter. Just enough to get the job done.
So Delise at first. And Aviles takes a strike. And a lot of pitches for both pitchers. 120 combined with this next pitch. Ball game's in the bottom of the third. And Cain's got just one out here in the third inning. Ureña's at 64. Cain's at 57. Miguel Rojas getting a day off. This always is a good day to get a day off because you essentially get 2 days in a row. Rojas has had some nagging stuff, but has played quite well. Two and two. Ureña on deck. And Aviles strikes out, chasing the breaking ball.
Bring the family for Sunday Fun Day on August 27th versus the Padres, and the first 7,000 fans will receive a Billy the Marlin hula figurine, courtesy of South Florida Ford dealers. These kids can run the bases after the game in the Diamond Dash. All right, get your tickets, marlins.com/tickets.
Friends at South Florida Ford getting in the hula mood. Ureña struck out in the first. That's 6 strikeouts already for Cain.
Now the secondary pitches he's been able to use them to expand the strike zone, and obviously with the little bit bigger than normal strike zone today, I think he's taken full advantage. Got Marlin hitters. I think Giant hitters are in the exact same position right now where they're trying to be a little bit more aggressive with the bat.
Strike 3 call. Down goes Ureña. Miami picks up a run. Derek Dietrich a triple. Tomas Talise knocks him home. And it's 5-1. Wednesday showdown from Miami, Giants and Marlins. Finish up a 3-game series. Marlins a 5-1 lead, top 4. Let's check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Hey, Rich. Derek Dietrich's doing a nice job since Martin Prado went out with his latest injury. Hitting-wise, he's hitting .321 now, .318 last 20 games with 10 extra base hits as well. And over at third base, well, he's more than holding his own. He's gone now 35 games without an error over there. Talking to infield coach Perry Hill today, he said he turns the double play. His arm is as good as anybody we have over there throwing that double play ball to second base. Obviously very strong to first base as well. Came up as a middle infielder, so for him to adjust now to the corner spots, and also he's played a little left field here, he's become a versatile player, but more than holding his own. Perry said still a work in progress over there at third, and he constantly hammers to him, hey, no matter what happens on offense, take that same energy and enthusiasm you have to defense. He's been doing that.
All right, Craig, thanks. And Todd, for Dietrich, I think it's important. You mentioned Bohr getting back up on the horse and finishing strong. Derek did not have a great first couple of months this season. He struggled offensively at times, and really nice to see him kick it into gear.
It is, and he's been doing it over a pretty good period of time. Lately, and certainly you want to see him have a big second half. Take advantage of those opportunities. Remember, he comes into the season as the super utility guy, and obviously got a lot of extended playing time this year, and certainly didn't want to. When you're a utility player, you always worry about where your playing time is going to come from. And right now, Martin Prado's been down, so it's allowed him to be out there almost every day. But when you've got poor numbers, that's not a fun feeling when you go back. Martin comes back, and then all of a sudden you're not starting anymore. And you don't have a chance to make up for the slow start.
I will say this. If Prado were to walk in the door tomorrow ready to go, you might see Dietrich over at first base.
I would agree with that. Why? Because he's swinging a hot bat. We've talked about it.
Over the middle, Gordon ranging, backhands, lost it. Now Jones got out of the box. I don't know that D gets him at first anyways. It would have been a very tough play and a very close play, but he's going to get an error on that.
Well, it's a bit surprising to me. Gordon has incredible range. See him get all the way across the diamond and get to this ground ball. If he would have played it for the bigger hop, he would have had no shot at first base. Squeezes it out. It's a tough E.
Did I misread that? But it felt to me, and it looked to me, that's off the end of the bat. At least he's going to get it and get to the bag. It felt like Jones was getting down the line pretty well, and that Gordon would have had to do everything perfectly.
Well, and that's D's read, is that he recognizes that Jones runs well out of the box, so he chooses to take the harder hop. He could have played and laid back on it, but Jones would have just flat out beat it out. You said it initially. You're right. So he comes in and gets the tougher hop and gets slapped with an E for a tough play.
Matt Cain is going to get the at bat here. 5-1 Miami, top 4. I like the system that Major League Baseball has for scoring questions. It used to be a manager would call up the official score after the game and plead his case for his player. And there was dialogue and such. By the way, that has been changed to a hit. Now, if there's a question, and there are, look, scoring's not easy. It's like umpiring. It's not easy. And there are questions where educated baseball people land on both sides of it.
Right.
One guy says hit, the other guy says error. The league now reviews it, and I don't know if there's like a secret panel or if
Joe call in and put your code in.
Joe Torre, every morning
up the phone,
has his morning paper, a coffee, and looks over scoring plays. Essentially, the league takes it out of the hands of managers and scorers after the fact. Real Muto out to get it and throws Cain out. And there's 2 outs, and Denard Span is coming up. So that's an infield hit for Ryder Jones. And Denard Span 0 for 2 with 2 outs. Hey, New York. Big city, bright lights. Chris Flexen is the next man up in New York. Marlins will see a Mets rotation just like the Marlins, which has undergone a lot of changes because of injuries, attrition. Rafael Montero goes on Saturday against Vance Worley. That's a Justin Nicolino start on Friday night. Worley, Montero on Saturday. Adam Conley and Jacob deGrom on Sunday. This man fouls it back.
Now 1-1. Urania needs to be careful. It's an hard span. As I said, one of their best run producers this season, and certainly of late. 4 RBIs in this series. A couple of RBIs in each game. 350 with runners in scoring position.
Yelich has it. 5-1 Miami. Giancarlo Stanton coming up, due up second. He's 1 for 1, a single, and has been hit by a pitch. Gets another shot at Matt Cain. What Matt Cain has been featuring today.
A combination of it all. 2-seam, 4-seam fastball. That's about half of his pitches. This second time through, the curveball, slider, and change have been better. He's actually got 7 strikeouts in this ball game. That curveball has been a big pitch.
There actually was a rumor that he might try a knuckleball against Stanton, since Giancarlo has hit him so well in his history and is so hot right now. Stanton singled to right and was hit on a 3-2 fastball in the second. Gordon reached on catcher's interference in the first, and that started a 4-run first inning. Pulls that one to first, and Ryder Jones is there and gets the out. So here comes Stanton now for his 3rd plate appearance. And you saw that pie chart of the arsenal. Stanton has seen everything in the pie today. He's thrown everything at him.
Yeah, and has really not fallen into any type of pattern. Remember the first at bat, fastballs and curveballs. Incorporated the slider early. That second at bat, he went slider, slider, and then do a curveball, back to a slider, and then tried to put him away with a couple of fastballs outside the strike zone. Now he's officially seen it all. There was the changeup.
Homers in 6 straight. There's his father, Big Mike. Day game, he's got the shades going. Kane goes fastball to get a strike.
Doubled up in the same spot with 2 different pitches. Started out with a fastball, played off of that lane with a slider. Stanton went after it. Chased a couple of different pitches this afternoon.
Fastball, and he fights it off. The challenge, you would think, you get into a streak like this, the challenge is not to think home run, and Stanton has been very clear that part of his success this year, a big part of it, is not thinking home run, just thinking about being a good hitter and hitting a ball hard.
Right. Well, I also think throughout this entire stretch, even over the last month, he's been looking for hunting pitches during at bats.
Little chopper, Kane has it and fires to first in time to get him. So 2 outs here in the 4th. Fox Sports Supports is proud to team up with Girls on the Run. Their dedication to empowering young girls and instilling confidence through running. Learn more about how you can get involved by visiting foxsportsupports.com. Yelich has had 2 contentious at-bats. Contentious because 3 key pitches have been called strikes, like that one outside the box, and that was a strike 3 call in his first at-bat. Sends that one to left field. Parker going back shy of the track, makes the catch. It's a 10-pitch inning. Brief one for Matt Cain to the 5th, 5-1 Fish. Chase down your passion, never halfway. And by your South Florida Chevy dealers. Day game in Miami, you know the tradition. We always try to supply donuts for the crew, home or road. Look at the truck. Federal Donuts, a
outstanding
institution in South Florida. We just had ours delivered to the booth. And so always nice when someone brings donuts.
Couldn't be more appreciative. I need to apologize, Craig. I'm sorry. I thought that I didn't think you were ever going to bring donuts, Craig. And
wait a minute.
Rumor has it you brought the donuts today, so I appreciate it, Craig. Thank
Wait,
you.
Said
I'm going to enjoy this.
I thought you were going to sound. I thought you were saying you brought them today.
No. You brought them, right?
Oh, okay. Actually, Conine brought them. But Todd, I'd be honest with you.
Wait a minute.
Oh, wait, hang on a second. Now I've been here for. Neither one of you has ever given me one donut. So when do you guys bring them? I've never seen a donut
to the crew.
Oh, to the crew. Okay.
All the time.
Okay.
All the time.
All right, I've missed it.
I mean, go look at my Twitter feed. There's photos of donuts from the last 3 seasons,
okay.
all across the country.
All right, I guess I missed it. I must be in the clubhouse working when you guys are getting donuts.
Vincent, well, wait a minute. the problem is this: is Hunter Pence is in there right now. The problem is this: is your reputation on studio days.
Yeah.
Guys like Preston and Nelly. I think Pavano even brought donuts.
I'm sure they have. Actually, Preston has.
The crew, Jeff Nelson's brought donuts. Bouncer up the middle. So the question is, Craig, why haven't you brought donuts yet?
Well, I've been buying beverages. I guess I got to buy donuts. I thought donuts were out, but they've got a second life here for some reason. So
come get them.
Who doesn't like a donut? I will bring donuts. I promise you. We'll do a big celebration.
I
Promise you.
Because Minervini was supposed to bring it today.
Really, Minervini? He's probably going to bring bootleg something else, but these are the real deal.
Thank you.
The problem, Craig, is
look, I just got to bring some donuts.
Here's the problem, Craig.
It's the only way to end this story.
You're absolutely right.
No, here's how you end it,
You're
Craig.
right.
The problem is you're costing me money.
because you've lost 5 straight bets with me.
I've lost 5 straight bets with Hollinsworth that you were going to bring donuts.
Yeah, but Holly's had a side deal with me. I've made money on these.
Well, then use that money to buy some donuts.
Okay.
Right.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Jared Parker at the plate. Off Urania, off of Gordon, rolls into shallow center. And the Giants come out swinging here in the 5th. Miami's up 5-1.
Everybody getting aggressive on the Giants right now. That off. It's like Urania's knee. Gordon unable to corral it. It's off his throwing hand. And it's been a wild and crazy day here at Marlins Park. We've seen just about everything so far. It's the 4th infield hit today for the Giants.
Now you got Sandoval, cleanup hitter. And the issue here for Urania is twofold. Number one, the Giants all of a sudden have a couple runners on, but he doesn't really have a safety net to work with because his pitch count is so high. So if he gets in trouble here and has an extended inning, his day could be done before he gets through the 5th. Out towards short, Aviles to Gordon, and he turns it, and that'll help out in a big way.
Or he can keep getting those ground balls and get a 6-4-3 double play. That's what he dials up. Well done. Tailor-made hop right there to Aviles. Quick flip to D. Gordon and across the diamond. Sandoval just coming into your picture. 2 quick outs on 1 pitch is a huge help.
Still an out to get. Here's Crawford. Crawford has singled and hit a sharp ball that got through Talise for an error, and he fouls it back to the screen. I'll bet you Brandon Crawford is going to have a burst before the season ends. I know it's been a miserable year for him. Be interested to see where he ends up. Changeup misses out. Ball and a strike.
I don't see a whole lot different. Of course, I don't see Crawford every day of the year, but his approach looks very similar to what he's had throughout his entire career. He hasn't made any kinds of major overhauls to his swing, although I will say throughout this particular series, he's been a lot more aggressive with pitches outside the strike zone.
Urania misses low with a fastball, and the count's 3-1. Three games going in the big leagues right now. Washington 2-1 over the Angels in the 6th. Pittsburgh 1-0 over Milwaukee, bottom 2nd. Ball in the air, right field and deep. Stanton is back, settles on the track, comes back onto the turf, and makes the catch. And Urania gets through the 5th. Miami still leads at 5-1. That's right. First stop, New York. Marlins Live gets you going. Jessica Blaylock back from Finland. Jeff Nelson back from Palm Beach. And our Friday chat with Don Mattingly. Craig Minervini will be with us in New York. A Nicolino Flexen matchup. South Florida Honda dealers bring it to you. Should be a very entertaining series as the Fish have played well of late. Trying to get themselves to 500. The Mets right now sit 11 under at 53-64. Marcell Ozuna, JT Realmuto, and Derek Dietrich. And a new arm on the mound for the Giants, Albert Suarez. And in at shortstop, Orlando Calixte. Calixte takes over, and that double switch, he's going to go into the 9 spot. Brandon Crawford out of the ball game. So the Marlins got 5 innings of Matt Cain. Or excuse me, 4 innings of Matt Cain. Seemed like 6 or 7 with all the pitches that he threw. Ozuna an RBI single in the first. That was the big inning for the Fish. Took a 4-0 lead. Suarez bounces one up there. It's 2-2.
Suarez 4 pitches. Fastball, slider, curveball changed. Likes the slider and the curveball. You've seen it a couple of different times already to Ozuna.
And Ozuna walks. So a leadoff walk here in the 5th. This day in Marlins history. 2013, Justin Ruggiano. First Marlin to come off the bench and get 3 hits, 2 homers, and 4 RBIs. Giants won that ball game by a score of 14-10.
When did he pinch hit? Do you remember? Was it like mid-game?
I think it was a double switch because of
had to be obviously
the
an early
Giants
one.
scoring 14 runs.
Right. I just wondered how. I wonder if it was condensed. Like, did they score late? You know, did he come in the 7th? I'm guessing he probably came in probably closer to the 5th.
JT 0 for 2. 3 hits in the series, a double, knocked in a couple, including an RBI ground ball in the first inning here.
Soon it draws more throws to first base for somebody who doesn't run. I don't know what it is he does. He gets over there and starts dancing around at times. There he goes.
Well, you oftentimes hear a base running coach will talk about a guy like Ozuna and say, hey, look, he may not be able to steal a base, but that doesn't mean he can't occupy the mind
Absolutely.
of the pitcher. I mean, some guys will take 2 steps and just stand there.
Right. When he gets out, he gets a good aggressive lead. He just doesn't run very often.
Big breaking ball pulled foul. Close to 170 pitches thrown already in this game.
It doesn't feel like it, though. Okay, I'm just kidding.
As I forget, the announcer said to Don Koharski, have another donut.
Right.
Eh? That's a hockey reference. Sorry about that. Just crept in. That one down low. Was it Jim Schoenfeld? Come on, hockey people in the truck, help me out here.
Yes.
Jim Schoenfeld
It
to
was Jim.
Don
This is one thing
Koharski.
I know about donuts, and Jim Schoenfeld, Rich.
Okay. The
Head coach.
Look
Great
at
defenseman.
Craig jumps right in with the donut chatter again. Thank you, Craig.
That's a mistake.
2-2, and it's a foul ball. Real Muto pulled it wide of third. Ozuna returns to first. Matt Cain's line. 4 innings, 5 hits. Of his 5 runs, only 2 were earned. Giants had 2 errors, including the catcher's interference to open the game, and that drop line drive by Crawford, which really hurt because Talise had a 2-run double right after it. JT pulls it to third. Sandoval out there, and again, you're not going to get Real Muto on a slowly hit ball to third on a double play.
Bring up Derek Dietrich. Very nice afternoon. Mentioned the line drive off Crawford's glove. He's hit the ball very hard 2 different times, including a triple on the right center field gap.
And a strike from Suarez. By the way, we were talking about the number of pitches total. The key number is Ureña's 90, because that's the next decision to be made by a manager. Miami's bullpen has activity. Brian Ellington is up in Miami's bullpen. Looks like he's just starting, though, his progression. So it's a good chance Ureña's going to start the 6th. Real Muto runs. Good jump. Nice slide. And another stolen base for Miami's catcher.
Great jump, great pitch to run on. Probably did everything he could. And watch the break. Watch Utley come out. You see JT almost on his way up. That pop-up slide before the ball even gets to second base. Huge jump.
Especially with the bullpen being used a lot, you can never have enough runs. The lead is 4 right now. Suarez bounces that one way outside. It's 3-1.
You want to get into scoring position for Dietrich as well. 15 RBIs over his last 19 games.
Full count. Another solid series for Dietrich. Right now 3 for 6. Pitch is in. When Dietrich walks, Talise is coming up, and you can come into Marlins Park with your mobile device if you get the ballpark pass, and it gets you to every home game the rest of August and through September. It's just $29.99 a month. Got a couple good bobbleheads coming up. JT Realmuto and Christian Yelich. Of course, the Fish trying to get to 500 and finish September strong. Marlins.com/pass. The way to go, or just download the ballpark app.
Talise having a very nice afternoon. The run scoring hits. Opportunity for a third. 2-run double his first time up. RBI base hit last time.
Busted bat, goes to first, spinning throw by Jones, out there. Safe at first is Talise. With a couple of Giants waiting for that throw at first base.
Pretty quick turn. Jones is going to be the one who takes the throw back at first base. But Talise already across the bag.
Looked like the two-man bobsled guys covering at first base.
Well, sometimes communication gets tough. You get two guys busting it for the bag.
Aviles at the plate. Ichiro's on deck. And the count 0-1.
Suarez did his homework. Aviles really did expand his strike zone last time up. Chased a few different sliders from Kane. Suarez right back out for a slider on the outside part of the plate. Fastball right there.
Doesn't chase, and it's 2-1. Marlins get into New York tonight. LaGuardia probably around the third or the fourth inning of that Yankee-Mets game, which is at Citi Field. Into right field, and Aviles knocks home run number 6. Realmuto scores for the second time. And the bottom of the order has been productive. Obviously, Talise with his 2 hits and 3 driven in, and now Aviles in the 8th spot.
A real nice swing of the bat. Had seen nothing pitches away. slider and the fastball chose wisely. This fastball right here, he stays on it, drives it through the hole on the right side. 2-out RBI. Really nice swing of the bat.
So Ichiro a pinch hit.
Pitch hit single last night. Now 19 of them on the season.
It's the most by a Marlins player since Ross Glode set the team record with 21 in 2009. So you would think Ichiro is going to get that record. .365 hits. Mariners, Yankees, and of course Marlins. Cap Anson is next. Ichiro is 16 away from Anson. That sounds doable. I think everybody knows that he's 43. So there's other records that get set by things that he accomplishes because of his age. And against the Cubs on June 25th, he became the oldest player to start a game in center field since 1900. A long time ago. Rickey Henderson had the record. But Ichiro actually older than the last time. That's into left field. That's going to fall, and a hit for Ichiro. Talise comes home, and Miami has a 7-1 lead, and he's a little closer to Cap Anson and 21st all time.
Oh, this is classic Ichiro, right? Now watch the approach. Two-seam fastball, stays on it. See how it's tailing off the outside corner. You see Hundley's glove kind of going outside to catch it. What's Ichiro do? He doesn't try to pull that ball to the right side. It would have been on the ground. Stays right through it. Drops it into left field for an RBI single. Now 20 pinch hits this season.
So 306.6. He's 15 shy of Anson. Dave Winfield will probably have to wait until next year. D. Gordon now. Albert Suarez has given up a couple here in the bottom of the 5th. Ball and a strike. It
appears home plate umpire Nick Marley's really tightened up that outside corner here over the last couple of innings. We talked a little earlier in the game how the strike zone seemed to be favoring the starters. Definitely gotten a little tighter here over the last couple of innings.
Last night on our email and Twitter Tuesday, a few more folks lobbying for the computer strike zone. What thought, I mean, before eventually you get there, what about after each inning, someone comes out, hands the umpire a little computer printout, says, hey, that second pitch to Yelich was out by 3 inches?
Well, admittedly, I thought this is what I was actually thinking through the first 5 innings today, is that somehow somebody might have said something to him. course, I don't know where that would have come from, but I actually thought it because where we were seeing the missed strikes, like to Yelich, blowing away, off the plate away a couple of inches, he's not calling it any longer.
Well, here's Stanton, and there's no place to put him. He is 1 for 2. He singled in the first. Matt Cain hit him with a 3-2 fastball in the second, and then Cain got him to bounce back to the mound in the fourth.
The stuff might be a little different with Suarez, but I don't think the approach will be any different. Probably see some sliders early. He's got the slider, the curveball, the fastball as well. A little bit more giddy up on that fastball. There it is, 93.
For a strike. 44 on the season. Is homered in 6 straight. Of course, the major league record is 8 straight. We've been talking about it for the last few days. Ken Griffey Jr., Don Mattingly, Dale Long. Stan hits a bouncer towards short. Caliste over to first in time to get him. And the Marlins will have to settle for 2 in the 5th. Stan will get a few more swings before this day is done. 7-1 Miami. Season 25 or under was 96. 36 or more out of first place, 1946. Of course, the Giants had not won a world championship in San Francisco until 2010. They ripped off 3 in 5 years. Just one 100-loss season. That was 1985. And so certainly these are not uncharted, but it's a long time since they've been in these waters. 7-1 Miami leads. A look outside. Brian Ellington.
See the numbers on the flamethrower. 7.71 ERA. He's got the big arm. 899 miles an hour on the fastball. Changeup, slider to go along with it. San Francisco got him for a run. Well, 2 runs, 1 earned. Just yesterday.
Nick Hundley, the first hitter. And if you follow the Marlins, you know that Ellington throws hard. The challenge for him, developing the secondary pitches.
Well, trusting them as well.
You're right, because I could develop a secondary pitch up here in the booth, but there'd be no trust in it.
Right.
Or at least we wouldn't trust it could get anybody out.
sometimes that can be a challenge for a young man who's got a live arm, live fastball like Ellington does. Think about the path to the big leagues, the ability to overwhelm even big league hitters, but to do it through the minor leagues. So sometimes you get there. You don't have to work as hard on the slider. You don't have to work as hard on the changeup. Why? Because you default to it. You throw one changeup maybe early in at bat. It's not a very good changeup, but then you just blow a guy away. What do you end up doing? Well, you end up with a good fastball, but you get to the big leagues, you realize just having a good fastball is not good enough. Sometimes it'll catch you, or catch up to you with secondary pitches.
99, and he strikes out Hundley. It's too bad in the progression that the velocity comes first.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
right.
Because and you hear it lamented in the game at the lower levels in high school, college, minor leagues, scouting and all of that. Velocity is at such a premium, or has such a premium put on it.
Right.
That young kids just don't develop the feel of the secondary pitches or pitching in terms of changing speeds. That's a catch and a tag.
How about it? It's a play by Talise.
Talise still finding his way at first base. Jones was right up on the bag, so he had to get him before that foot got down.
See, Aviles does everything right. High throw. Pulls Talise off the bag, but you see that as he goes up, able to tag. Get a tag on Jones. Yeah, right there, just before that front foot hits the bag. Nicely done.
Here's Kelby Tomlinson.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's also it's an interesting conversation because, you know, in Little League, for example, I've got kids, my younger guys, you know, playing baseball, that they're discouraged from throwing secondary pitches too early or too much of one or two. You know what I mean? And that's also part of this. So you get to the big leagues, like, listen, you got to pull the wrapper off, right? You know, you're not going to just survive up here with a fastball. But even the, you know, as you mentioned, these kids aren't learning it earlier. They're not being allowed to learn it earlier a lot of times.
Well, let's face it. I mean, oftentimes in the showcases, showcases are when young players play in games in front of scouts and all that. The guys that get promoted or looked at are the ones that are throwing hard, and that's where a lot of arm injuries come from, because some of these showcases are not in season, but a pitcher wants to go pitch in front of college scouts or major league scouts, and he wants to light the radar gun up. He wants to catch somebody's eye, and it's not necessarily, oh, this guy's got a really good touch on his changeup.
Right.
This guy can, you know, can really spin it. And he's got just a good feel for reading swings. That you don't hear that. It's like, yeah, he throws 96 with movement.
You can't teach maximum velocity. I mean, it's a gift. Scouts believe that you get them into the system that it can be harnessed. We'll teach you how to throw strikes.
Right, but I'm of the feel now that you can't teach at this level. It's hard to teach the secondary stuff. It's hard to teach the feel. It's hard to teach the changeup.
Right. Well, you've got maximum effort, maximum velocity for 15 pitches in an inning.
Ellington dials up 99 again. It's good stuff from the Marlins right-hander. This is Cole Calhoun. The Angels are at Nationals Park. And this is a 2-run homer. And that erases a Nationals lead. And you know what? Very quietly, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim have put themselves in a wild card spot in the American League.
They've been lurking. Just hanging around 500 has been good enough for most guys out there in the American League. Yeah, with 8-10 teams kind of pushing each other around.
Really nice inning by Brian Ellington. Christian Yelich climbs in the box. Bottom 6 here, Yelich, Ozuna, and Real Muto. Day off tomorrow. New York City on Friday night. A changeup from Suarez. Now back to your conversation about the strike zone. And look, this is a young umpire that probably doesn't get to work a lot of games with the strike zone technology. And you said it sounded like someone has whispered in his ear. In our conversation with umpires in umpire rooms over the last 3-4 years about the strike zone, about this computer grading system, this is what happens. Yelich, as a hitter, has had a few previous at-bats, and he'll go in and watch the video and see where the pitch was, whether it was in or out. There's no secrets anymore. That one flipped down the left field line, and the same thing happens with a catcher or a pitcher. So both dugouts know if a pitch was missed or a pitch was made. So in the course of the game, whether it's a catcher or a hitter, and whether the catcher offers it to the umpire or the umpire actually asks the hitter and said, hey, hitter will say, look, you missed that one in the second, or you know what? If he had argued on it and it was actually a strike, my bad, you got that one. I think when you get into the 5th or the 6th inning, the umpire has a pretty good idea of what he's missed and what he's called accurate. And every umpire at the end of the game gets a printout of his game. He knows exactly which pitch he misses, which pitch he's stuck. And that's how the learning begins. That's how you dial in that strike zone.
And I would imagine over time, maybe even speaking to Christian Yelich's day at the plate, that over time an umpire would learn that quicker. Because you think, you know, even in today's ball game, you say, okay, well, I certainly understand that. We've talked about the outside pitch. It was off the outside corner. You know, we showed you Yelich's miss. He said like 3 or 4 pitches well off the outside corner called for strikes.
Good changeup. Yelich swings and misses.
So you would even agree that, you know, over time, maybe it won't take 3 innings. That message gets delivered and it's received, and the adjustments made maybe over 1 inning.
Now, Marley is a young umpire that's up here working this series, so he does work games in the minor leagues. It's my understanding that there are a few minor league ballparks that have this technology where umpires will also get accustomed to calling that strike zone with the technology. That one popped foul and out of play. Oh, 2 to Marcell Ozuna.
Circle change. It's all the way through. Nick Hundley.
That's going to be a fair ball. Hundley picks it out and throws out Ozuna. A timeless moment brought to you by Coors. This date, 1961, Roger Maris hits 2 homers to extend his home run streak to 6 games. It's interesting on this date as Stanton goes for 7 in a row. There's a few occurrences on this date in history that kind of line up with this. Maris hit 2 homers to get him to 48. That was back in '61. On this date in 2001, Bonds hit 2 homers to get him to 53. And sadly, on this date in 1948, Babe Ruth passed away at the age of 53. Ruth died of throat cancer. Realmuto sends that one to center. Span is back. And Suarez a much cleaner 6th than 5th. Like the cap.
Dominican Republic Tourism. It's a special event ticket. Get a Marcell Ozuna DR Heritage jersey. Plus, enjoy a post-game concert. Merengue legend Aramis Camillo. Tickets at marlins.com/special events.
Aramis Ramirez will not be appearing. Brian Ellington, though, a repeat performance. As Ellington went 1, 2, 3 and cut right through the Giants in the 6th. He gets the 7th. As Miami looks for win number 58. Try to get themselves to 58 and 61. Caliste has never faced Miami. That is a strike. Ellington 98 on that fastball. Now that last pitch that ended the 6th inning on our gun registered 100. The in-house gun registered 99. Well, there's 98.
We know he lives at the high end of the spectrum. I certainly love watching him hit the numbers. I also love seeing him throw that slider for a good strike.
Caliste is out of the Dominican Republic. A 25-year-old infielder by trade. Came in at short in the double switch. One and two. And a swing and a miss. Ellington has punched out 3 of the 4 he's faced, and a good secondary pitch.
Yeah, that's what you like to see. Outstanding setting him up. 98, 99 speeds up the eyes, speeds up the hands. Then you slow him down. Throw a little deception at him. 2 good hard sliders right there. Say really no chance putting that ball in play.
Here is Denard Span.
It's a really good combination of pitches. 98 and 99 with an 86, 87 mile an hour slider. So much so that one of the hottest hitters is thinking about bunting.
Marlins saw a lot of Span when he was a Washington National. Speaking of the Nationals, obviously Bryce Harper is on the DL. They lost another outfielder, Brian Goodwin, on the 10-day DL with a left groin strain.
But they got Taylor back. Just off the DL.
Michael Taylor. Still there missing Jason Worth, Adam Eaton, Ryan Rayburn, Harper. It's a lot of outfielders. And they've called up to replace him, a former Marlin, a former a lot of teams, Alejandro De Aza. 6th major league team for De Aza.
Got some pop in that bat. It's a pretty good changeup. Wellington right there.
And we talk about, look, trying to develop secondary pitches. The hard part is developing here, because this is all about performance and all about wins and losses. And so a guy like Ellington, whose fastball gets him to the big leagues, trying to develop these pitches. And this is a perfect opportunity for him. He's got a 7-1 lead. He's able to stretch things out. He's getting a couple of innings.
That's exactly why Don Mattingly gives him that 2nd inning. He wants the progression to continue. You see the preload right there. He was holding the changeup. Switches that out. Fastball.
Two. This foul ball. Gentleman in the striped shirt is Jeff King, ballpark operations for the Marlins. You know, just in look, in watching that replay and seeing the gentleman that sat in front of him, who had no chance to get out of the way of that ball. He had no time to react to it.
Right.
The gentleman, I believe, in the sunglasses. To me, that speaks to the nets behind the dugouts and why more major league teams are going to that. Citi Field has done it. We'll get a first look at that when we get there. We've seen Atlanta do it. The Nationals on a hop. Aviles on to first.
I think you just got to get it done. In baseball, seem like they take a little bit of time to get through. That's now been discussed, and we certainly know that fans are safer with those nets in place, particularly behind the dugouts.
See that? Yeah, I mean, see the reaction time by the fans? The ball is by them.
It's over, right? Even your movement, it's delayed. You're not reacting fast enough to it. Everybody complained. Look at the number of people who don't move. The 2 guys in front there. The guy in the black t-shirt, the one, yeah, you're right, the guy in the glasses. It's over. Ball's already by.
And what we're talking about is Major League Baseball last year has suggested and wants more clubs to put in the nets behind the dugout that protect fans from line drives over the dugouts and broken bats and thrown bats that slip out of hitters' hands. Especially in this day and age of mobile devices and phones.
Well, let me ask you the question, because it's been thrown out from the other perspective, because, you know, obviously most of this is in the consideration of the fans. If Do you think there's a fan alive that says, no, I don't want the net there, it's blocking my eyesight?
There are, absolutely.
You think they still exist after as much as we've seen, as far as harm that's come to certain, come to fans in the seats off line drives?
I do, but I will say this. The advancement in netting, the technology now, the net is so thin.
Yeah, you barely see it.
The new ballpark in Atlanta is a great example. We've been there twice. If you go and sit behind that netting,
you don't even know it's there.
You don't even know it's there. There's a 1-2. Boy, Brian Ellington really looks good. That's 101, and his secondary pitches were good as well. Really nice to see the young man come out here and have 2 great innings. Punching going on out there. Giants and Marlins, and for the Marlins, Derek Dietrich coming to the plate, Tomas Talis and Mike Aviles. If you're just happening by, Giancarlo Stanton is 1 for 3 in the ball game. A single, was hit by a 3-2 fastball in the at bat against Matt Cain, and then is bounced out twice. Dietrich's triple in the 3rd and walk in the 5th helped ignite rallies. Dietrich has scored in both of those innings. And the offense has come mostly from the bottom of the order. Tomas Talis, 2 hits, driven in 3 in the 7th spot. Mike Aviles hitting 8th RBI single, and a pinch hit from Ichiro to drive in a run in the 9th spot. Dietrich, right field, and Pence gets there. Hunter Pence can go get him still.
Well, he certainly can. Bit of a late break from Pence. Didn't get a great first jump, but recovered nicely. See, he hasn't moved yet. Had to pick it up off the bat, and then it turns on those jets. Uses everything to run it down in front of the track.
Talis takes a change up. Span is there, and he makes the catch. And Suarez, after a rocky 5th, is settled into the ball game. He has retired 6 straight. And here's Mike Aviles. Again, last night we had an emailer noting that we've been pronouncing Aviles' name incorrectly. Aviles is the more, I guess, traditional pronunciation. I spoke to Mike and I asked him, I said, Aviles or Aviles? And he said, everybody calls me Aviles. I'm known as Aviles in the big leagues. And so he goes by that. Now, look, there are some players that in the United States, they go by one name, and in their country, they go by another. Kenley Jansen's a perfect example. He's Kenley Jansen when he returns to the island of Curacao. He was always Kenley Jansen until he got into minor league baseball, and nobody could either remember or go with Jansen. They just called him Kenley Jansen, and now he's Kenley Jansen. Into center, and it's off the glove of Span. Aviles arrives at second.
Nice swing of the bat for Aviles. Second hit of the ball game. On drive into center field. Pitch to hit. Aviles all over it. Spin. Pretty decent jump. A lot of times the hardest read for a center fielder is the ball right at him. You have to gauge the spin. I think in that instance, Bernard Span was not able to read it right away. Cost him maybe a step or two. Runner in scoring position here in the 7th for the Marlins, up 7-1.
Rojas gets the at-bat. The ultimate battle on pronunciation was Matt Diaz. He was a Marlin killer as a Brave, and on nights where he would play, we would be inundated with, it's Diaz, you're mispronouncing it. And he was always known as Diaz throughout baseball. So, you know, what you always do in whatever sport you're covering, you go down and you ask the player, how do you pronounce it? How's your family pronounce it? And Matt said it's Diaz. And so then he went to the Pirates, and it didn't relent. People were still upset. So he actually had Matt record a 15-second public service announcement that we would play before most of his at-bats. Yeah. And in it, he said, first, I want to apologize to everybody. My family has always gone by Diaz, and I'm sorry. I know the traditional way to say it is Diaz, but in my family, they've gone by Diaz. I'm sorry. Please don't give Rich and Tommy so much grief.
Right.
Which was nice of him to do, and he ended up playing a bit for the Marlins as well.
Now the goal is to get everybody to do that for you. Good luck.
Rojas with the count 1-2. Gordon's on deck. Stanton is assured of at least another at bat. And Rojas finds center field with a hit. That's going to chase home Aviles. So 2 pinch hit singles in that 9 spot. Ichiro in the 5th, and Rojas here in the 7th.
Well, how about it? Breaking ball, tough pitch off the outside corner, 77 miles an hour. Swing by Rojas, goes out and gets it just a little bit, drives it into center field, picks up an RBI single. Why not? Marlins now 6 for 11 today with runners in scoring position. Giants so successful, 0 for 8.
Giants bullpen is active. Stanton's on deck. Josh Osich in the bullpen. know that Osich is getting ready for Stanton. But if the inning continues, maybe Yelich.
Maybe Yelich. Osich does not have very favorable numbers as righties.
Bill Tapper, Gordon racing for first, and he's safe. Bang bang play. Gordon legs out a hit. Giants obviously will look in their video room.
And can D. Gordon motor.
See it from this angle.
I think he is out.
He's out.
And the Giants are going to challenge, so
yeah.
I don't think this is going to end well for D.
Either way, boy, he has got another gear down the line. Suarez did everything he could, just get off the mound and field it pretty cleanly, and strong throw to first base. D, as you can see, very, very close.
(8-1) is the score. Don't know that this is going to take long. There are 3 games going, actually now 4 games going in baseball. So it's the early shift in New York. Of course, there's always 2 umpiring crews that rotate in and out on a day in baseball. So they may have gone to Italy for lunch and then at Chelsea Piers walked into the offices there to watch some baseball. Interior of the glove. Looks like it's in the glove before the foot is down.
Does not look favorable from that angle.
Of course, the original call is safe. You got to be absolutely sure. Conclusive, clear and conclusive. It's interesting that this one's taken so long. He's out. So Gordon is out, and that's it for the 7th inning. Call's overturned. 8-1 Miami. Tomorrow, it's New York City. Mets and Marlins, always fun at Citi Fields. Justin Nicolino gets the first start of that 3-gamer. Marlins Live with Craig Minervini live from Citi Fields. Certainly there'll be a parade planned for Craig while he's on the field. Jessica Blaylock and Jeff Nelson will be in studio. And we check in now for Craig Minervini. Now, Craig, it's always special for you to go back to New York. It's your hometown. What are you looking forward to both on the field and off the field?
Oh, well, it's always great to go to New York. I still don't think, guys, that it's always funny to say that Citi Field had the same field that Shea Stadium did, even though it's so much nicer. And the Mets aren't playing very well, but there's always a good buzz in the city. I think the Marlin players like playing there. And talking to Justin Nicolino today, he said, I love pitching in New York. And he also loves watching this show that Giancarlo's putting on. He'll get one more shot. But should be fun and a rare trip for the Marlins going in a day early today. I can't remember a trip like this where we left from home actually and going into an off day. So they'll have a nice off day in the city. All of us. They'll buy some donuts tomorrow for the guys.
Very good. That's a step forward.
Like
that would make them a day old on Friday, wouldn't it?
That's a good point.
Thank you.
Maybe just scouting trip tomorrow.
Come on, Craig. Let's go.
Javi Guerra is in. And Guerra's pitch is pulled to first. And Talise is there to get to the bag. As Jarrett Parker is out.
Javi Guerra into the ball game. Real nice performance. His last time out versus the Colorado Rockies, did pitch a couple of innings, picked up 3 strikeouts. Very good. Second time. First time, not so much. Trouble with his command, but off to a good start today.
Sandoval takes out. This is, if the Marlins win this ball game, what a really nice homestand it's been. 6-gamer. They're shooting for 5-1. A sweep of the Rockies. Try to take 2 of 3 from the Giants. Even Bruce Bochy took note of the sweep over Colorado. And Guerra was a big part of that sweep. That final game on Sunday with 2 innings. 2 scoreless innings. Marlins bullpen was super. Not only in that series, but it's been very good in this series. Last night a hiccup for sure. Junichi Tazawa knocked around. Sandoval walks. This is the pitcher spot in the Giants order. And Moncrief is going to hit. We've seen him a few times off the Giants bench, once in each of the ball games. Carlos Moncrief.
Pinch hit RBI single yesterday's ball game.
Chipola Junior College, Marianna, Florida. That's Jeff Mathis territory. Who's coming out of the Central in the National League?
That's a good question.
The Brewers are still hoping to be that team. They're 3 over, but losing to Pittsburgh 4-3 right now. In the bottom of the 5th, a bullet. Talise has got it. Falling over Sandoval, and Talise gets to the bag. Sandoval spun his wheels and then face planted, and that gave Talise time to get there. That's a unique double play. Giancarlo Stanton getting ready to lead it off here in the bottom of the 8th. Florida Lottery in-game jackpot. Since the All-Star break, home runs per at bat. We talked about Stanton, just over 6. Joey Gallo's on a great tear as well. Stanton in this ball game is 1 for 3. Single. He's bounced out twice. Was hit on a 3-2 pitch by Matt Cain, and he does get to face the lefty Osich out of the pen. Catches the corner with a breaking ball. As Todd documented, Osich has not had great success against right-handed bats.
381 against them, the righties.
Stanton drives that one into right field. Big wide lane open, and Giancarlo has a hit. Well, it looks like the streak is going to come to an end, but a nice day, 2 for 4.
And let me say this, you know, impressive, fun to watch, certainly, but I think even that base hit right there tells you the story of where Giancarlo Stanton is with his game. He walked into that bat. A lot of guys would have been coming out of their shoes trying to hit a home run. This is what we've been talking about. The willingness to take what's being given, to go up there, to take the base hits the other way. If he happens to hit the home run, he hits it, you know, if the pitch is where it is. And in that situation right there, I mean, there was nothing about pulling off a ball right there or a lefty's up and I'm going to try and, you know, hit him out to left center field. He just drove it through the right side. Sure, he would have loved to have hit one in 7 straight, but I don't know. I think that tells you an awful lot with where he's at right now in his game.
His batting average will be helped on a 2 for 4 day. Six for 12 in the series with 2 home runs. Yelich with a little bit of a grin. It's been a long day for Yelich. He and the home plate umpire have not seen eye to eye. And Osich misses down with a breaking ball.
I don't think there's any way we avoid this, Rich. Creeping up on 300 pitches thrown today. There's a lot of pitches.
Roller out towards short. The turn not in time. Yelich beats it at first. Stanton is out.
MLB.TV every night, every device. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live, plus get a free subscription to At-Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details.
You're getting good at that.
Thank you.
Ozuna just gets a piece. Marcel knocked in a run with a base hit in the first. Miami has 10 hits, and the Giants never really recovered from that first inning. Miami jumped to a 4-0 lead. There were 2 errors in the inning. Catcher's interference on Nick Hundley and a drop line drive by Brandon Crawford, of all people, one of the best defensive players in the game. Ozuna sprays a ground ball towards second. Tomlinson's going to get an out. And Ozuna ends up at first. And here comes Real Muto. Colorado Rockies are at home tonight against the Atlanta Braves. Arizona is in Houston tonight. Identical records, Arizona and Colorado. They hold the 2 wild cards in the National League. St. Louis, Milwaukee are 5 back. Pittsburgh's 8 back. It will be odd for the Marlins, for us, and probably for you Marlin fans that are going to watch on Friday night to see A.J. Ramos in a Mets uniform.
I'm sure there'll be a few really good matchups late in those games.
Osich strikes out Real Muto. 9th inning arrives finally here. 8-1 Marlins. Call to the bullpen brought to you by the Florida Lottery. Get a $6 value for $5 when you ask for the grouper from the Florida Lottery. With so many life-changing prizes, get your group ready. The Florida Lottery, it's your ticket. Claim it. Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly. Brad Ziegler. This was a Jose Urena start. 5 innings for Urena. Gave up a run. It was unearned. Brian Ellington for Miami was terrific. He went 2 innings. Faced the minimum. Chalked up 4 strikeouts. Javi Guerra, an inning in relief. Hundley to the plate.
Brad Ziegler outstanding. He's picked up 4 saves over his last 5 appearances. No earned runs allowed. That late movement appears to be back. Good to see.
And a good spot to get Ziegler some work, to keep him sharp. One of the reasons Don Mattingly immediately put him in the 9 spot is with back injury, it's much easier to get him up and bring him in without having to get him up and down like a middle reliever. So Friday night, we invite you to settle in with El Dorado Furniture as the Marlins and the Mets tangle. Chris Flexen and Justin Nicolino. 6:30 for Marlins Live. Talise. We love to compile like a little video of Talise at first base and have maybe a guy like Justin Bourne narrate.
He's had some moments there today, and he's recovered well.
He has. Great play on the double play.
Sure.
With Sandoval, and he's been the offensive star for the Marlins in this ball game.
You know what that does? It always makes your defense better.
2 outs, Tomlinson now. And Ziegler doing what Brad Ziegler's done for a long time. Get bad contact, get ground balls. Just like that, Real Muto takes, whoa, that one overshoots the runway. That might just be a base hit. Well, E2, it comes up.
Now let's take another look. This is more like a, no, let's not.
I was about to say, Tomlinson changed his batting stance. He went from righty to lefty. Here's
there he is. Swinging bunt up the line. We've seen JT make this play an awful lot. This doesn't make it any less easy. Nice job getting out. Obviously the throw sails down the right field line. I think sometimes what happens is you know, you create errors because of your athleticism. A lot of catchers that don't make that play at all. Don't even attempt to throw.
to right. Stanton is there. Ball game, and the Marlins take the series. Nice win here. 8-1. Giancarlo, a couple hits, but he's kept in the ballpark, and his streak ends at 6 in a row. We'll wrap it up when we return.